I'm always animating marks. I'm making marks in painting, painted marks, and those marks I see move. So when I'm making the marks, I'm animating them in positions while I'm painting them. And then I'll scan them and I'll put them in orders. There's a number of different orders they could go. It could be from beginning to end. It could be a cycle in the middle. It could react based on the curves or the bending or the straightness of all of the marks. It could be an accidental mark. I stumbled upon folds when I was scanning things, and I scanned a fold, and I was like, I could use that. Yeah, I need something other than just paint marks, because I like having a very disparate and yet discrete set of things that I'm working with. The brushiness works against the edge, or works against the flatness. Or if the flatness is too flat, then I'll put a texture in it, an animated texture, and that animated texture will then make it look like it's rolling, or make it look like it's scraping, or make it do any number of painterly things. I don't like the viewer to be able to see the order in which I put the marks down. I feel like we know paintings start from the back and move to the front. Can I make it look like the first thing that was painted is on the front? Can I mess with time that way? I will look at, instead of using time as an editing logic, I'll look at the space as an editing logic. Where do I put it? How does it behave in that space, or on that wall, or in that location? And from there, I'll decide which marks work and which don't. I think everybody wants to make sense of things, myself included. I'm not gonna exclude myself from that. I guess the question that I ask myself is, why do I have to tell myself a story about it? To be anti-narrative, you cannot exclude the existence of narrative. We sort through so many narratives every single day that reality is starting to not, what was reality is starting not to make sense. So reality is becoming an abstraction. And once we get into that kind of field, I start wondering about, well, if we are being fragmented by all these narratives, it seems like there's got to be a different way to think about these things. And it also seems like maybe one way to think about them differently is to fragment the narrative down to its most basic, irreducible parts. So I'm thinking about fragmenting narrative into its smallest components, that it's still maybe recognizable, but not exactly as all the details and all the characters and all the tropes that we have in narrative. I mean, I think, especially in America right now, I don't know how it is here, but in America right now, we have AI like just creating all sorts of nonsense. And at first it's kind of funny, and then you realize there's people that don't have a reference for that. If you can take the people out and have the people be the experiential part, and then you have these things that are recognizable but don't make sense at first glance, then we can start thinking a little bit differently about how narrative and how narrative operates and how we actually interpret narrative. And maybe narrative's not the only way that we can see the world. It's too narrow now, and it's too everywhere. We've been seeing paintings now nearly 15 years on Instagram, and they're reduced, they're controllable, they're flat. There's none of that surface consequence, there's none of that surface detail. It's all compressed into a JPEG or into a PDF, and that's how we experience painting now, as a I don't want to say pure, but as an image. Image is prioritized. Or the places choose me. I mean, I don't get to shoot everywhere I want to shoot, so it's a conversation. The places that I like to shoot on have some kind of surface detail happening. So like Casa Rafael Galván has all these great incidents in the wall. They have all these great frames. They have all this great molding. And we work with that. We work in it, we work around it, we work across it. We frame the video to that. So there's a sense of play within this space. But in terms of projection, this is sort of it's a minimized simulacrum of what I'm doing if I'm doing something outside on, say, a tower from 500 or a tower from 1500. The more traction the surface has, the more you have to ask yourself, why would I want to project on that? It's already, what can I add to that that's going to increase the beauty of that, increase the experience of that? What do I have to say about that surface? What do I have to integrate into that surface? I mean, I think if you go to any kind of historical location, certainly the cathedral here in Mexico City, you go there and you feel the presence of the earthquakes, but you also feel the presence of who's been there before. It's certainly the first time I saw the outside of it, and I was raised Irish Catholic. The first time I saw the outside of it, I was like, I don't think I want to go in there. That looks like the cathedral of heavy metal Fist of Doom. You know, it's scary. Like, it doesn't, the exterior instilled a certain amount of fear in me. So how do you work with that? What's the avatar that goes with that? Something like that is a challenge. And that's what I'd rather make work for, something that I feel like is challenging me in some way, or it already exists in the world just fine. How can I extract something that we don't see about it? That's a starting point for me.